The greatest illusion ever constructed in modern society is the belief that wealth is complex, rare, and reserved for a mysterious class of people who possess extraordinary intelligence or miraculous luck. This belief did not emerge by accident. It was carefully cultivated over generations because a population that believes wealth is inaccessible will never attempt to claim it. When people are convinced that prosperity requires genius-level mathematics, insider connections, or a stroke of destiny, they willingly remain spectators in a game they were never meant to watch from the sidelines. But the uncomfortable reality is far simpler and far more confronting. Wealth is not complicated. It is arithmetic. It is the result of a small number of repeated behaviors executed with precision and discipline over time. The reason most people remain financially stagnant is not a lack of intelligence, opportunity, or resources. It is that they operate under a moral framework that rewards obedience rather than effectiveness. From childhood, individuals are taught a script. Work hard. Be patient. Follow instructions. Do your job well and eventually stability will arrive. This narrative sounds virtuous, but in practice it produces a workforce designed to sustain systems rather than control them. While one group spends their lives following instructions, another group studies the architecture of the system itself. They examine incentives, leverage, and power dynamics. They are not focused on working harder inside the machine. They focus on controlling the machine. The difference between these two mindsets is enormous. One side plays a predictable game built on effort and endurance. The other side plays a strategic game built on leverage and positioning. The first group measures success by how much effort they exert. The second group measures success by how much outcome they produce from minimal effort. This distinction explains why many hardworking individuals remain financially trapped while others accumulate wealth at an astonishing pace. The world does not reward suffering. It rewards effectiveness. Effort alone does not guarantee prosperity. What matters is the scale of the problem being solved and the leverage used to solve it. Most people spend their lives trying to be admirable employees, responsible savers, and reliable citizens. They hope that endurance will eventually translate into reward. But the marketplace does not operate on sympathy. It operates on value exchange. The system recognizes only one universal signal: leverage. Leverage is the force multiplier of modern wealth. Without it, income remains tied directly to time. With it, one action can produce results thousands of times greater than the effort required to create it. This is the fundamental operating principle behind wealth creation. But before someone can access leverage, they must dismantle the first illusion that holds them captive, the idea that passion alone should guide financial decisions. For years, motivational rhetoric has repeated the same comforting phrase: follow your passion. While passion is valuable for personal fulfillment, it is not a reliable compass for wealth creation. Passion is emotional. Wealth is structural. Passion asks what you enjoy doing. Wealth asks what problems people are desperate to have solved. Money flows toward the elimination of pain. Every major industry exists because it removes a form of suffering or inconvenience from human life. Medical professionals address physical survival. Engineers solve mechanical limitations. Software creators eliminate inefficiencies. Logistics systems remove delays. Each of these activities commands significant financial reward because the problems they solve are expensive, urgent, and difficult. When a problem threatens health, safety, time, or large amounts of money, people will pay almost any price to eliminate it. This is where opportunity lives. The scale of compensation is directly proportional to the scale of the pain removed. Consider the structure of most jobs. Many individuals are paid strictly for their time. They clock in, perform tasks, and clock out. This arrangement appears stable on the surface, but it contains a hidden weakness. When someone sells time, they are exchanging the most limited resource they possess for a fixed amount of income. Time cannot expand. Every person receives the same number of hours in a day. If income is tied directly to hours worked, there will always be a ceiling on earnings. This structure guarantees financial limitation. The alternative model is fundamentally different. Instead of selling time, the focus shifts to solving high-value problems. When someone becomes the solution to a costly problem, they become indispensable. And indispensability is the foundation of leverage. The most powerful position in any economic system is not being liked. It is being needed. Approval is temporary and emotional. Necessity is structural. When individuals control something that others depend on, clients, knowledge, systems, distribution channels, or specialized expertise, they gain negotiation power that cannot easily be replaced. The first step toward wealth is therefore brutally simple: identify where significant pain exists and become the most effective solution available. Once this principle becomes clear, the landscape of opportunity begins to look completely different. Instead of asking what career feels comfortable, the question becomes far sharper. Where are people bleeding financially, emotionally, or operationally? Where is frustration intense enough that someone would eagerly pay to eliminate it? Where pain exists, value can be created. And where value is created at scale, wealth inevitably follows. However, identifying valuable problems is only the beginning. Solving them effectively requires a mindset that most people were never taught to develop. The cultural narrative surrounding success often glorifies relentless hard work while ignoring the strategic intelligence required to multiply results. For generations, people have been conditioned to believe that effort automatically leads to reward. Work longer hours. Carry heavier responsibilities. Endure more stress. Eventually success will appear. Yet reality constantly contradicts this belief. Across every economy, individuals performing physically exhausting labor often earn the least compensation, while those directing systems, capital, and information earn exponentially more. This difference reveals a powerful truth. The marketplace does not compensate effort. It compensates impact. Impact is determined by leverage. Leverage allows one unit of effort to produce a disproportionate amount of output. It is the invisible mechanism behind the largest fortunes ever created. There are several forms of leverage, but three dominate the modern economic landscape. The first form is labor leverage. This occurs when a single individual coordinates the efforts of many others. Instead of performing every task personally, systems are created in which multiple people contribute to a shared objective. Each worker adds incremental value, but the orchestrator captures the strategic advantage of scale. The second form is capital leverage. Money itself becomes a tool that produces more money. Investments, assets, and ownership structures allow wealth to grow independently of physical labor. Instead of earning only through effort, capital begins working continuously in the background. The third and most transformative form in the modern world is digital leverage. Information, code, and media can be created once and distributed infinitely. A piece of software can serve millions of users simultaneously. A digital product can be downloaded endlessly. Content can reach audiences across continents without requiring physical presence. This form of leverage has fundamentally changed the structure of opportunity. It allows individuals with creativity, skill, and strategic thinking to build systems that operate continuously long after the original effort has been completed. When income becomes detached from physical presence, the constraints that limit most people disappear. Instead of earning only when working, income can continue flowing through systems, platforms, and assets that operate autonomously. But even this advantage is incomplete without another critical principle: perception. In economic environments, perception often determines value long before results are evaluated. Humans are instinctively influenced by signals of status, competence, and authority. These signals shape expectations, and expectations shape financial outcomes. Individuals are rarely paid according to their internal abilities. They are paid according to the perceived value they project into the marketplace. Two people can possess similar expertise while earning dramatically different incomes simply because one presents their expertise with greater confidence, clarity, and strategic positioning. Professional appearance, communication style, availability, pricing structure, and digital presence all act as signals that influence how others evaluate worth. High-value professionals rarely appear desperate for opportunities. Their time is scarce, their boundaries are firm, and their services are positioned as premium solutions rather than commodities. This perception is not deception. It is strategic framing. When individuals consistently communicate competence, discipline, and scarcity, the marketplace interprets those signals as indicators of value. The opposite is also true. When individuals appear uncertain, constantly available, and eager to please, they signal replaceability. And replaceability destroys leverage. Another factor silently influencing financial outcomes is environment. People dramatically underestimate the effect of their surroundings on their ambitions and decisions. Mindsets spread through proximity. Conversations shape expectations. Habits reinforce identities. If someone spends years immersed in environments where pessimism, fear, and limitation dominate daily dialogue, those ideas slowly become internal beliefs. Over time, those beliefs shape decisions, and those decisions shape financial outcomes. Therefore, removing negative influences is not cruelty. It is strategic hygiene. Just as physical health requires avoiding contagious diseases, mental and economic health require distance from environments that reinforce scarcity thinking. Equally dangerous is informational noise. Modern technology delivers an endless stream of entertainment, outrage, and distraction designed to capture attention. Every moment spent passively consuming content is a moment not spent building skills, assets, or systems. Attention is the raw material of progress. When attention becomes fragmented, progress becomes impossible. The ability to concentrate deeply on meaningful work has quietly become one of the rarest and most valuable abilities in the modern world. Individuals who can direct their attention toward building long-term value while others remain distracted gain a massive advantage over time. Wealth therefore requires a ruthless process of elimination. Distractions, unproductive habits, and draining relationships must be removed with the same determination used to build new opportunities. Only then can focus concentrate fully on activities that generate leverage and value. Once value creation begins generating financial returns, a new challenge emerges: retention. Earning money and keeping money are entirely different disciplines. Many individuals achieve temporary financial success only to watch it disappear through lifestyle inflation, poor investments, or relentless consumption. Modern economies are structured to encourage spending. Advertising systems, social comparison, and cultural pressure constantly suggest that happiness requires visible upgrades, new devices, larger homes, expensive clothing, and luxury experiences. Each purchase delivers temporary satisfaction while quietly draining long-term financial security. True wealth is not defined by how much money passes through someone's hands. It is defined by how much remains under their control. If income flows in and immediately flows out again, the individual becomes nothing more than a conduit through which money travels. The strategic alternative is asset accumulation. Assets are resources that produce income or appreciate in value over time. Businesses, investments, intellectual property, and scalable digital systems can generate financial returns long after their initial creation. When labor income is consistently converted into assets, a transformation begins. Instead of relying entirely on effort, financial stability becomes supported by systems that operate independently. Over time, these systems multiply and reinforce one another, creating resilience and autonomy. Protecting these assets requires strategic awareness. Taxes, liabilities, market volatility, and social expectations all place pressure on financial resources. Those who preserve wealth study structures that shield assets from unnecessary risk and erosion. Another dimension of wealth often overlooked is time. Time is the only resource that cannot be replenished. Every moment spent performing low-value tasks represents an opportunity cost. When individuals begin valuing their time appropriately, they naturally begin delegating, automating, or eliminating activities that do not produce meaningful outcomes. This shift produces a powerful feedback loop. As more time becomes available, individuals can focus on higher-value activities, strategy, learning, creation, and relationship building. These activities generate even greater leverage, which further increases financial capacity. Eventually, the objective becomes autonomy. Autonomy means waking each day with control over how time is spent, what projects receive attention, and what opportunities are pursued. It is the freedom to design life intentionally rather than reacting to external demands. Achieving this state requires abandoning passive hope. Hoping for promotions, hoping for economic improvements, or hoping for lucky opportunities places control outside one's own hands. Progress begins only when hope is replaced with deliberate planning and decisive action. A plan is not a vague wish. It is a sequence of measurable steps executed consistently over time. Acquire valuable skills. Apply those skills to solve painful problems. Convert income into assets. Reinforce systems that generate leverage. Protect and expand those systems until financial independence becomes inevitable. None of these steps are mysterious. None require extraordinary talent. They require clarity, discipline, and the willingness to behave differently from the majority. The most difficult transformation is internal. To follow this path requires becoming comfortable with independence, criticism, and temporary isolation. Many people prefer the safety of conformity even if it limits their potential. They would rather remain understood within familiar circles than pursue opportunities that distance them from the crowd. Yet every major transformation in history was driven by individuals willing to think differently from those around them. They questioned assumptions, studied systems, and built structures that reshaped the environment itself. The same possibility exists for anyone willing to approach the world with strategic awareness. The blueprint for wealth has never been hidden. It has always been visible in the patterns of value creation, leverage, and disciplined execution. Once someone truly sees these patterns, the illusion of complexity disappears. Wealth stops appearing mysterious and begins appearing mechanical. It becomes the predictable outcome of consistent actions performed with clarity of purpose. The question that remains is not whether the path exists. The path is visible to anyone willing to study it. The real question is whether an individual is prepared to become the kind of person capable of walking it. Because once that transformation begins, the old narrative loses its power. The individual stops waiting for permission. They stop hoping for rescue. They recognize that the architecture of their future rests entirely in their own decisions. At that moment the game changes. The observer becomes the architect, and the system that once seemed overwhelming becomes a structure that can be studied, navigated, and ultimately mastered.